Okay, spell your first and last name, please.
Gail Burlingame, G-A-I-L. Burlingame is B-U-R-L-I-N-G-A-M-E.
Thank you. Are you currently retired, ma'am?
Yes.
And prior to retirement, where did you work?
My last job,
Yes.
I was consultant teacher for children with learning disabilities, reading and comprehension.
What about before that?
I was a private jet flight attendant, and before that, I sold cars for 5.5 months.
All right, so I want to talk to you about that, the time that you were selling cars. Where did you work?
DCH Ford in Thousand Oaks.
Okay. And did you sell a vehicle to someone by the name of Monica Sementilli?
Yes, I did.
Do you see her here in court today?
I'm looking for her. I don't know where she is. Where's the long hair? I don't even know
Let
where
me ask you, this lady over here in the beige jacket with the ponytail,
Yes.
is that Monica Sementilli?
Wow, girl, you look a little different. Yes.
Okay,
You had bangs before.
thank you. Okay, do you remember the transaction and the numerous conversations and meetings you had with her?
Yes, I do.
And why is it that you remember those conversations and this particular sale?
Well, I eventually found out that her husband had died, and then she eventually told me that he had been murdered, and I felt horrific for her, and so it's like an emotional connection to try and help her however I could.
Okay. Did you receive a phone call initially from her at some time in February of 2017?
Yes.
And during that very first conversation, what did she ask you, or what is it that she wanted from you?
She was worried about, she had a truck that the lease was coming due, and she said she wanted to talk to me about the truck and how she could possibly keep it.
Okay.
And it was in her husband's name and not hers.
That's what she told you?
Yes.
Okay. And did she tell you that it was a 2013 Ford F-150 truck?
Yes.
And besides the fact that she wanted to keep it, did she also mention anything with respect to her daughters?
Yes. As we got into conversations, she said that it was very important to keep the truck because the kids wanted it.
Okay.
And I totally understood that.
Okay. And so after the call, did you speak with your boss as well as corporate headquarters to try and assist her?
Yes, I did.
Who was the sales manager at that point, the person that was your boss?
Caesar.
Okay. Cesar Aviles?
Yes.
And at that point in time, did you and Cesar have some conversations? Just yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And then after that, did you have additional conversations with Monica Sementilli through phone calls, texts, emails, things of that nature?
Yes, I did.
And did those conversations take place over the next couple weeks?
At least, yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I have an email between this witness and the defendant on a Celebrate extraction report for the defendant's Apple iPhone. Could I have this marked as People's 210?
Yes.
Showing you People's 210. And let's start at the bottom of the email. Let me show you the top first. We go to the left here. Was this your email address at DCH Ford Thousand Oaks along with your name at the time you worked there?
Yes.
And I am, once again, did you send her an email on February 19th subsequent to the call that she made to you of 2017 at about 2:13 in the afternoon?
Yes.
And on that email, did you reach out to her and say, I hope your financial advisor was able to assist you with your questions one day at a time? You're in my thoughts and best wishes.
Yes, I did.
Okay. And was that based on the conversation that you had had with her regarding her husband having died?
Yes.
And at that point in time, did you know anything other than the fact that he had passed away?
Not in the beginning. I didn't know. I just know he passed away. And then eventually she told me.
Okay. But other than the fact that he passed away, she never told you in that initial conversation
No.
what had happened?
Not at the beginning, no.
Okay. Now, over the next couple of months, in February and March, did the defendant come to the dealership to meet with you?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And that initial time when she came in February of 2017, did she come in to speak with you and bring in some paperwork?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And during that conversation, did she tell you what had happened to her husband?
Not the very first time, but the second time she told me.
Okay. And did she tell you that he had been murdered?
Yes.
And at that point in time, did she discuss with you and with Caesar what her options were regarding the vehicle, the Ford F-150?
Yes.
When she came to the vehicle, was she driving her Ford F-150?
Yes, she was.
Okay. Did she have any conversations with you regarding money at that point in time?
Quite a bit.
And what did she tell you about that?
She first said, I have to wait to get some money. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, I don't have money right now. And I said, I was worried about her, about her having money and not being able to she could pay for the payment in the truck, but she acted like she didn't have any money to do anything else. So then eventually she told me that she was waiting for a life insurance policy.
So,
I'm sorry. She said what?
She was waiting for a life insurance policy.
So did she tell you that she also was desperate for money and couldn't pay her bills?
Yes.
And based on that, again, did you try to help her?
Of course.
Did she also tell you that she didn't have a job?
Yes.
what is a rule?
And did she tell you that things were very tough?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Did she also mention anything about an attorney?
Yeah, oh, yes.
What did she tell you about that?
My questions, I'm like, how long is this taking? You must be so worried about everything. And she's, yes. And I said, what's going on? She said, well, my attorney's working with everything and trying to get the money. And I said, well, I questioned her more, and she said that the police were checking into a lot of things. And
Yes. Straight up.
She told you that her attorney was trying to get the money, the life
Yes.
insurance money?
yes,
And she also mentioned law enforcement to you?
yes,
And their investigation?
yes,
Okay. And did she tell you that she was going to Canada and would speak with you from Canada?
yes,
During the time that she was at the dealership with you in February and March, did she make calls to what she told you were her attorney?
yes,
And was that on a cell phone?
yes,
And did it appear that she was having a conversation, a legal conversation about the life insurance?
Not really, no.
Why not? What was it?
It's overruled.
What was it about the conversation she was having with the individual on the cell phone that did not sound like an attorney?
It's overruled.
Go ahead.
She was kind of whispering and talking, and it wasn't like there weren't direct questions like what's going on with this case or my money or what. I was just like whispering and a lot of kind of thing, and so
Okay.
I'd ask her, and then she'd say, "Oh, they're still working on it."
Did you actually talk to her after that one time while she was still in Canada?
Are you asking me, did I
Yeah.
talk to her while she was in Canada?
Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
I thought I did. I don't even know.
I'm sorry?
I thought I did, but right now I don't really know, but she said she was there.
Okay. So in other words, when she spoke to you, she told you she was in Canada?
Yes, she did.
And before she returned a third time, did you speak to her again by phone?
Yes.
And was her tone or demeanor any different than when you had spoken with her and seen her at the dealership prior to that date?
Overruled.
When she called me that time, she told me that she had gotten the money, and I said, great, and she said, I want to come in. Do you want me to go further with the conversation?
Okay.
Do you want me to say more?
Yeah, I just want your answer.
Okay, so she said, I'm going to come in. I got the money. I said, okay, great. I said, okay, we're going to figure out how you can keep that truck. And then she said, well, we decided the kids don't want the truck anymore. And I was just, I was kind of appalled because I thought,
Sustained.
And
Stricken.
was when she told you that they were going to turn in the truck and they didn't want the truck anymore, did you ask her about that, since the prior conversations you had had with her were all about trying to keep the truck because it was her dead husband's?
yes. I mean, it was all about trying to keep the truck.
Okay.
And so when she said that, I was like, what? And then I tried to talk her into keeping it.
So did you ask her if the kids would be upset or devastated if she
I
turned
did.
in their father's truck?
I did. No, I did.
Hello
This is
there.
true. I did. I told her I did.
And what did she say?
She just said, well, no, we decided we don't want it. The kids don't want it, so, but I need a car, so I'm just going to turn it in. I'm going to get a new car.
Okay. And did she seem much happier during this conversation than the ones you had previous, including when she came to the dealership?
Before it was
Overruled.
definitely about the money and worry, and then all of a sudden now she got the money and she was happy. Like,
Okay. She didn't seem worried anymore.
not a bit.
Okay. After your message that you sent to her saying, I just want to see how you were doing, hope your financial advisor was able to assist you, did she then respond and say, I just spoke with Ford Credit and they said to send a death certificate to them. I told them you have a copy. Mine are all at lawyers. Could you fax or email them the death certificate in my behalf?
Yes.
And after that conversation that you had with her where she said she had received the life insurance money and wanted to get a new car,
It's overruled.
that's exactly what happened, correct?
I'm sorry. I
It-
just spaced with all this. There's something buzzing up here. So, okay. Focus, back to you.
Hello.
Sorry.
So I just want to make sure, you told us that when she returned from Canada, or before she returned to the dealership the third time, when you spoke with her by phone, she told you that she had received the life insurance money, wanted to turn in the truck, and buy herself a new car. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. After that, did the defendant come in to the dealership to meet with you on April 3rd of 2017?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point in time, did she reiterate to you that she had received her husband's life insurance, it had just taken longer than she had expected?
Sustained.
What did
Yes.
she say to you?
Yes. Everything took a lot longer than I expected, she said. And I said yes. And she said she got the money and she didn't want to keep the truck and she was going to buy a car.
Okay. And did she seem to you to be upset, worried? What
No.
was her demeanor on that date?
Okay. On that day, her demeanor, she was very happy. And I was still trying to tell her to keep the truck.
Okay. So you guys were going in two different directions. Okay. And at that point in time, did she begin looking at new vehicles on the lot to purchase?
Yep, she did.
Did you, given her prior expressions to you about being broke and not having any money and being desperate for money, ask her what her budget was so that you could assist her in choosing a vehicle that would be appropriate?
Yes, I did.
And what did she say when you asked her what her budget was?
She said she didn't know.
Okay. And so initially, what did you do?
I said, okay, let's go out and look at the cars. So we went out and I started with like a Ford Focus, a cheaper car, and we drove that. And then she said, oh, not this. And then we went to the next car up and we drove that. And it kind of went on for like 4 hours or 5 hours. I was with her. We drove all these cars. And we finally got into one of up to the Mustangs. She decided she was going to go that route. And she wanted a convertible. We finally found a convertible. We drove, and her demeanor then, she's like, "Oh my God, I feel like Thelma and Louise with you." So we, she was happy, and I'm like, "Okay." And then she's like, "But I don't want this car. I don't like the color."
What color was it?
I don't,
Doesn't matter.
it's like a silver or something. It wasn't
didn't like
black.
the color of
She
the
wanted the
convertible.
black one.
Okay.
So we didn't have a convertible in that. So we did have the GT in black.
She wanted a black vehicle, and did she also want a certain color rim?
Yes. Oh, yeah. The rims are really important. She got the black rims, and she wanted to upgrade on that. And I said, yeah, okay.
Okay. And during the 4 to 5 hours that she was with you driving cars, did she keep leveling up to more expensive options?
Yep. We drove every car.
Okay. And did she make any phone calls in your presence during that day?
Yes, she did. She made several.
So, did you try to talk her out of the Mustang GT?
Overruled. Overruled.
No, just that's what she wanted. I mean, I was hoping that she'd still keep the truck, but for the
Did you
kids.
tell her that the Mustang GT, the back seat, if she had kids, was like a
Oh
sardine
yeah,
can?
yeah, definitely. If you've been in a Mustang, your legs are all crunched up if you sit in the back.
Okay.
So obviously the kids weren't going to be riding in it.
Did you, when she finally settled on the new 2017 Mustang GT, did she say anything to you?
Yeah, she was happy. I got this car. I really love this. I feel like I can start my life again. I just feel like I have a new start. And, I was like, you go, good for you.
Now, at some point in time, you still felt bad for her, right?
Oh, yeah. I did feel bad
One
for
moment,
her.
man. It's overruled.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I did feel bad for her because, obviously I'm with this woman whose husband got murdered and,
She told you eventually when
yeah,
she came in
Yeah, she did.
that her husband had been murdered.
Yeah. That was probably the second time. It was the second
Okay.
time.
Second time you met with her?
Yeah.
At some point during the 4 to 5 hours, did she talk to you? Did she make a call to someone and then ask you about having perhaps a friend come in to assist her?
Yes, she did. Right at the end, yes.
Okay. And did she tell you that she wanted to have her friend drive the vehicle before she purchased it?
Yes, she did.
That was something she wanted to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And approximately 30 minutes later, after she made a call, did someone come into the dealership in Thousand Oaks?
Yes. A person came in that she named as her friend Robert.
you People's 14. Was this her friend Robert?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So he came into the dealership.
Yes, he did.
And at the point in time when he came in, were you guys out on the lot? Were you sitting in an office? Where were you?
We were in the office waiting.
Okay. And did she introduce this individual to you in People's 14 as her friend Robert?
Yes, she did.
And did she tell you and Robert that it was important that he liked the vehicle as well?
Yes.
And at that point, did you engage Robert in conversation?
Yes, I did. Just typical, like, what do you do?
And did the defendant tell you that he was a cop in New Orleans, but he quit?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Once the defendant told you that he had been a cop in New Orleans, did you ask him questions about that?
Overruled.
I did ask him questions because I love New Orleans. And I said, oh, that must have been a tough job. I know that it could be tough in there. And he said, yes. And I said, so where did you work? Like in what parish or what ward? And he just said, all over. I go, oh, really? Did you work in the 9th Ward? And I have friends that live in the 9th Ward that are musicians, and it could be, And so he didn't even know what the 9th Ward was. And so I just thought, okay, this is a total lie. I don't know why this is happening. And
So at that point, did you ask him if he was still a cop or whether he worked
Yeah.
in the LA area?
yeah, and he said he was in between, and then he said something about doing some security work.
Okay. And at that point, did the defendant tell you that she really wanted her friend Robert to drive the vehicle?
Oh, yes. She
Oh,
did
okay.
want him to drive the car. They went back and forth. Please, please, I want you to drive the car. No, it's okay. It's going to be your car. No, no, it's really important to me. I want you to drive the car. Well, it
One
is what
response. One
happened.
moment.
So,
When there's an objection, you got to stop talking. So I
Oh,
can
okay,
rule
I'm
on it.
sorry.
It's okay?
Okay.
All right.
at that point, was there a conversation back and forth between the defendant and Baker where she was trying to get him to drive the car?
Yes,
And he was indicating he didn't need to.
he did.
Okay. And so at that point, did you try and encourage him to drive the vehicle?
I did.
Speak up, counsel. Overruled.
I encouraged. She wanted him, and I'm going to do what she needs. It was important to her. He was there. So I said, I go, come on. So I did the little thing where you just like, I just stood up. And then they stood up. And I'm like, good. He's going to drive the car because she wants that, right? And then I said, can I have your license? And he sat back down. He goes, oh, no, no. He goes, I don't need to drive it. And then she's like, no, no. And then he kind of went like this and,
When
and
you say like this, you cocked your head to the side.
he's like talking to her, and finally she's like, oh, okay. So I got
Let me
it
ask you something.
that they didn't want to give me the license.
Okay. So once it became apparent to you that they didn't want to give you his license, is it a requirement at the dealership that you have to provide your license before you test drive a vehicle?
Yes, I told them it was just for insurance benefits. We have to have the license.
So after that, did it appear to you that she was prodding him, trying to get him to do what she wanted him to do?
Yes.
One moment. It
Yes.
is leading. One moment, ma'am.
Okay.
It is leading a false speculation.
Okay. Did you, at that point, suggest that all three of you go for a ride and that the defendant drive?
Well, yeah, she wanted him to be in the car. He came down. We all went for a ride.
Okay.
They sat in the front. I got in the sardine part in the back.
Okay. And after that, did they come back and sit in your office again?
Yes, he did.
And did they, at that point, begin to speak amongst themselves as you and they were talking about paperwork and what needed to be done?
Yes,
Sustain.
they did.
What happened at that point? Go ahead, tell me.
Okay. We came back and we started talking about the car, and everyone was excited, and she was talking about her rims and this and that. And, I could tell that they were very good friends. They were leaning into each other.
No response.
It is.
Stricken.
Okay, sorry.
They were very good friends. Everything
Yeah,
else remains.
Okay.
What was their conduct and demeanor that you were able to observe in your office at that point?
Well, they were leaning in, whispering, talking, laughing, and then they asked for privacy. I walked away and by the coffee room, but then I was inquisitive about what was going on, so I tiptoed back to hear what they were saying, and I couldn't really hear, but they were just whispering about all this stuff. So, and laughing, and I'm just like, okay. So then I came back, and they were.
At any point in time during this conversation, when you were with them, were they touching each other or putting their hands on each other?
Sustained.
Did they touch each other at all?
Yes, they did.
And did the defendant say anything to Robert Baker with respect to not being able to wait for something?
Overruled on all grounds.
Go ahead. At any point in time, did she say, I can't wait for...
Oh, okay. So I could feel the intention, I know, but she said, well, I just can't wait till well, you're going to love driving it, kind of a thing. So it sounded to me, okay, never mind.
There was nothing that was said.
So she said to him, you're going to love driving it.
Yes.
Okay. Did it appear that they were purchasing this vehicle to drive together?
Oh,
Sustained.
Did she indicate in front of you that he was also going to be driving the vehicle?
yes.
Once there was an agreement on pricing, did the defendant then meet with somebody in your finance department?
Yes, after we get everything together, they go back to finance to Steve, was the guy at the time who was doing finance.
Showing you 209 photograph. Was this the vehicle that you sold to the defendant?
Yes, it is.
And it had a red interior?
Yes.
That day when she came to the dealership, was she driving again the Ford F-150?
Yes.
And then did she leave that day in the Mustang?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Now after the paperwork was filled out, did you talk to her about sitting around in the car so that you could program or pair her phone and teach her about some of the features in the vehicle?
Right. When you sell a car,
One
it
moment,
is-
ma'am. Overruled.
Yes.
when you sell a car, you have to afterwards put on the plates, you go over everything with the car. This is, pairing your phone and all those things. So there's little points that we're supposed to do and go through with everything.
Did you do that with her?
No, they were ready to go, and she didn't want to go through anything. And I said, oh, well, just let me help you with the phone or just this and that. She said, no, he'll help me, meaning Robert. So I said, okay, well, you can come back at any time and I'll help you. Like, have it for a week, come back, whatever, I'll help you.
And after that, did you call her several times in order to, again, follow up with her and assist her with any questions she might have regarding the vehicle?
I did.
Okay. Did she ever respond?
She did not.
Okay. And at some point, did you sent her a thank you card?
I did.
And that was a card with Thelma and Louise on the front?
Yes, it was. It was typical to
Give me one
send
second, ma'am.
cards.
So overruled.
It's typical, usually I would send a Ford thank you card, but because we did the Thelma and Louise thing, I sent her a Thelma and Louise card and telling her, wishing her the best in her new life.
Okay. So you wished her a happy new life, but the Thelma and Louise was the reference she brought up
Exactly. It was the one she brought up.
when you were driving the convertible.
The convertible, yes.
I have nothing further.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Burlingame.
Hello.
You became involved in this case by communicating with Morella Sementilli, is that right? You first contacted her?
Oh, how I got involved with this case?
Yes.
Okay.
ma'am.
Was never in contact with her.
Okay. You didn't send a Facebook message to...
On Facebook, yes, I saw a remark that she put on a page that she was worried about the wife getting off because of the way that legal things were running at that time, and that she mentioned her brother's name, and it was Fabio, and it caught my eye just randomly that day, and I was like, oh my God. I said, I sold her and her boyfriend a car. If I can help you, let me know.
Okay.
She
And
did
this-
not contact me after that. It was the police that contacted me.
And that was when you sent her that Facebook message.
Say that again.
When did you send her that Facebook message?
It was obviously after I knew about it, so it would have to be in the summer, that summer. Well, it wasn't that summer. It was a long time ago after that. No, I'm sorry. I have no idea when it was. It was right when the case was going to start happening, and it's been delayed so many times. So it was a couple of years ago.
A couple of
It
years?
was, yeah, it was like COVID time.
Around COVID time?
Yeah.
Okay. And you had been watching media coverage about this case?
Well, no, I was sitting on the couch. I'd broken my arm, and that's why I wasn't working. And I saw up next, Fabiano murder case arrest, and I went, oh my goodness. So I took my phone, and when it came back from commercial, I videoed it, and it showed Monica's face and her boyfriend's face, and I was like, oh my God. And so I sent it to Caesar, and I said, look at this.
Okay, so you sent it to Cesar Avile,
Uh-huh.
and he was your manager at the time?
Yes.
Okay. And did you send it to anybody else?
That, I might have sent it to my son.
Okay.
Yeah.
Had you known about the case that first time?
That was the first time that I knew about the whole thing,
Okay.
was when I saw it on TV.
And what you saw on TV, how did you go from that and sending those videos to contact with Morella Sementilli?
I'm going to check that with Stacy.
I have
So-
no idea what you're saying.
Okay. How did you come to be able to contact Morella Sementilli?
I just saw a Facebook post, and I just remarked about to her that I would help.
Okay. Were you just scanning Facebook, or was there something that directed you to information about the case?
Yes. Okay. It was on the Recall Gascon page at the time, and there were many people having a lot of trouble with mothers crying about this and that, and what was happening
Okay.
with the legal system at that time.
Okay, so you were following things about the district attorney of Los Angeles County, Mr. Gascon,
Yes.
and problems with the case, the cases in the system.
Yeah.
Okay, and you were reading on that page about Ms. Sementilli's prosecution in court.
I just randomly went to that page, very bizarre, and there I saw her name, and I was like, wow, because there's only two Fabios. The one is the guy with the long hair, and then this one that I know, so.
Okay, and you saw, when you say you saw the name, was that Monica Sementilli's name, or Morella Sementilli, or Fabio Sementilli?
I'm not sure if her name was mentioned, but is it Marilla? I couldn't remember her name, but her, and she mentioned her brother's name, Fabio Sementilli.
Okay. And she was complaining in some way about the progress of the case?
No, it was more like, I hope that justice will be, done. I'm worried about the case, where it could be going, and that she was upset about, her brother, obviously.
Right. And this was a posting that you read on the DA's website?
No.
No.
Objection, I'm gonna state the evidence.
Excuse me.
It does.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. This was a post that she made on her Facebook page, correct?
Objection misstates the evidence.
Sustained.
I'm
No.
sorry. Where did you see those statements by Miss Morella Sementilli?
It was on a Gascon page.
Okay. So it was on the DA's page that you saw Miss Sementilli's
I don't know
statement.
whose page it actually was. I don't know
It
whose
was
page it was.
The evidence.
It doesn't state the evidence. It was on the recall Gascon page, Counsel.
Excuse me.
Oh, thank you.
The recall Gascon page.
Yes.
Okay. And you then contacted Ms. Morella Sementilli, correct?
I typed right under her post, I sold the Mustang to them. If you need me, let me know.
Okay.
Type of thing.
So you typed a comment.
Yeah.
Okay. And then at some point, you don't remember when this was, or you think it was around COVID time? Is that
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
So that would have been 2020 or 20.
It was
21?
probably 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at some point, you then received a contact from the Los Angeles Police Department, correct?
Yes, in Messenger, I got a remark. This is my phone number. I think it was Mitzi. This is my phone number. And I was a little paranoid about it. So I didn't know if that was really somebody contacting me from the police. So I called all the districts down here until I found out where she worked and talked to her partner to make sure that this was a real thing.
Okay. So you received some kind of Facebook communication back,
Yes.
and then you called down to the LAPD to try to verify who had left you the message,
Yes.
and you called and reached her partner.
Then I finally called the number and got a hold of Mitzi.
Okay. And then Detective Roberts made arrangements to come speak with you, correct?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
And I know it was during COVID because we sat outside in the back patio. That's what I remember.
Okay. And that was February of 2021?
Quite possibly could have been.
Okay. Okay. Got it. You, Ms. Burlingame, sold Ms. Sementilli the Mustang April 3rd, 2017.
Yes.
And prior to that, she had originally contacted the dealership by telephone, correct?
Yes.
Sometime in February or March of 2017?
Yes.
Okay. And you understood that she had received a notice that the lease on the truck that was leased was going to be up in 2 or 3 months, and she was calling you about what to do.
Do a rule.
Is that correct?
Yes, the lease was coming due, and she called to find out what to do about it.
Okay. Do you remember what the date was she called?
No.
Okay, and you just picked up the
I
call.
randomly just picked up the phone. It was a call came in, I picked up.
Okay. And you agreed, she told you she wanted to keep the truck, correct?
Yes.
And you agreed to do some research on the truck and find out what options there were.
Yes.
And you determined that the truck was in the sole name of Fabio Sementilli, correct?
Yes.
And you determined that there was no way for her to transfer the lease to herself, correct?
She could not transfer it. No, but she could do a buyback. But it would have taken a while to do it, but I would have done anything to make that work.
Okay, great. And you also told her she needed to pay the remaining payments. She needed to keep paying the lease until the 3 months were up.
Exactly.
And you also researched for her the buyout price if she finished paying the lease and wanted to buy the truck, correct?
Yes, Caesar did.
Okay. And you, in your research, you told her you had spoken to legal, I guess that's legal at the dealership, and that she could buy out the car, the truck, but not at the price of $30,000, but at a price of $44,000. Correct?
It was not going to be the price that it normally would have been if she was on the lease. She would have had to pay more, and I can't tell you exactly what that number was.
Understood. And you then, did you offer her any other option other than to buy out, after paying the final payments on the lease, to buy out the vehicle for whatever this higher price was than what the leaseholder would have normally gotten? Did you offer her any other options on the lease?
No, I don't think there was another option.
Okay.
For anything further by the people? One moment before you go. Let's go. Christine, off the record, please.
When you were asked on cross-examination about contacting somebody through a Recall Gascon Facebook page, do you know who, in the question it was asked if it was Morella Sementilli. Do you know whose post you responded to?
No, I don't. I was just agreeing because I don't know. It was one of the Sementillis because it was maybe she had a different name. I don't really know because it was a sister. I knew that. She said she was a sister,
okay.
And then Fabio's name was in there.
Okay.
But she didn't ever contact me or anything.
Okay. So you never communicated with her after that one comment you put on in response to her post
Exactly.
on the Recall Gascon website.
Right.
Okay. And that was something, as you said, from one of the sisters that was talking about wanting justice for her brother's murder.
Right.
And that was a website of victims and surviving victims' family members that were posting on there.
Yes, it was.
I'm sorry? So a rule on that ground. So a rule on that ground as well, counsel.
Anyway, so that was the only time that you had any contact with anybody relating to this case, correct?
Yes.
Until subsequent to that, Detective Mitzi Roberts reached out to you.
Yes.
And then came to the dealership.
Nope, to my home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that would have been on February 11th of 2021.
Yes.
Okay. And you know that because there's a statement form, correct?
Right. I signed everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
With respect to the first time that the defendant came into the dealership and spoke to you about what her options were, the decisions, any decision that was made, that wouldn't have been your decision, that would have been your boss's decision,
Right.
correct?
Caesar's in charge of that part.
Okay. So you discussed with her the options, but then it would be Caesar's job to make a decision.
Yes.
And were you aware that she also had a meeting with Caesar?
I saw her having a meeting with with him in the office, which normally people aren't supposed to just walk up there, but she did. And they were talking, and I went to the restroom. And
All right. So you were aware they had a meeting.
yes.
And were you aware that Caesar told her that she didn't have to make any more payments on the vehicle, that he was going to waive or write off any of her remaining payments?
Sustain.
You were asked on cross-examination about what her options were. One of the options was the dealership could write off all of her remaining payments. Is that an option?
Sustain.
Can I talk?
No.
Okay.
I have nothing further.
Anything further?
Alrighty.
Anything further?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burlingame. You're excused. May I call you next witness?